Hello, Tesla Nation! You're watching The Tesla Life, a show by the Tesla community for the Tesla community.
Yes!
Hello. You notice I didn't say with your host, Mark Coughlin, because we are markless.
For the moment. But we do have a French dress babe.
That's right. Yes.
Wearing a French dress and some sort of cover. I don't know what the proper name for this cover is, but my grandmother, her great-grandmother, purchased it for her.
Awesome.
Boom.
Awesome.
You can see without
All
the
right.
bib now.
If that doesn't make you guys donate something in the chat, I don't know what would.
They
Give
can't
money
because
for the
Mark
college fund.
didn't turn on the button. You'll have to do it over on our channels.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, David. And then Hockey Day also got the weather right everywhere. It's just darned hot. Like, you can see me sweating even though the AC is on. I woke you up? I'm sorry.
Aw.
Okay.
Yeah, we're the lucky little corner of the country not embroiled in a heat wave right now. I almost didn't make it to the show. My car went in for service yesterday, and it was scheduled to be done at 4 o'clock right now. And I told them, I'm doing the Tesla Life show, and I can't postpone it. It has to be done by 3. And they said, yes, sir.
It works for me.
So, yes, yeah, it was all the Tesla Life card that I played that made it happen. No, I'm obviously kidding, but I told the story about how my coolant heater had gone out, which is funny. It's a coolant heater, but
sounds oxymoronic.
Yes, it does. Right. Yes. So that happened in March, and so that got replaced. Came with a pretty big bill. And but as part of that, of course, they're going to refill all the fluids, and so then all of a sudden, Monday, I got this notice saying coolant levels low. I'm like, well, what? How can this be? I just had that filled up, and so I assumed it was related to that, and I scheduled the service. They got me an appointment for the next day. So I took it in yesterday at 4:30. So they actually got it done in 22 and a half hours. So I don't know if that meets Elon's new goal of most cars being able to have same day service. It was less than 24 hours, so it met that goal. Yeah. But the initial estimate was $250, and then I approved that, and I wrote them a note saying, "Hey, I just had this other service done on the coolant heater. It seems like it's probably related, since I've had it 5.5 years and I've never had this problem before, and now you fix this part and that happens. So if it's related to that, please make this will call, or a goodwill service is I think the right phrase." And they said, sure, no problem. If we find it's related to that, there'll be no charge. And then about an hour later, I get an update to my estimate, and I'm thinking, oh, cool, they changed the estimate. It's going to be free now. I open it. Nope, now it's $500. The price doubled. I asked for it to be free, and they said, nope, take your estimate and double it.
Yeah, so mine was similar. Like, they fixed some sensors in the coolant lines for the AC system, and then all of a sudden, magically, the coolant was low on the AC system. And I said, well, the only people to touch the AC system were you guys. And they said, $400, pay up.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
There's Mark.
Mark's email is broken.
I was lost.
He can send but not receive.
Yes.
So Twitter to the rescue.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness, multiple lines of communication available to us these days.
Yes, I would have to send an international text.
We've just been swapping service stories while we waited for you.
Yeah. Thanks for getting the show rolling, guys. Let's get right to it. First story of the day is Giga Texas. The Model Y SR, which we had heard previously was just being delivered to employees, has now moved to the stage where they were giving it to people around Austin. So people in Texas,
they don't give. I mean,
that would be so awesome. I'd love a free Model Y.
I guess give is a relative term. Yes. Give as long as you give them some money.
Yes.
So the alert went out to people that were surrounding Austin. Some even pretty far away from Austin were getting alerts. And now we hear that it's gone beyond even that. So people in Colorado, people in Florida, people in other states are starting to get alerts. So we're interested to see that they've now got it rolling where these SRs are going out to multiple people. Hello, Evan. How you doing?
Yeah, shout
Long
out
time
to
no see, Doc.
Shout out to
Dr.
Evan,
Fusco.
long-time Tesla lifer who we haven't seen in ages. We'll have to get you on one day, Evan. Please let us know when you're available.
Jeez.
So yeah, the cars are now being offered to people in other states, and this is a new development. We're also seeing that some of these people are starting to make some videos about their cars, providing details about charging, providing details about that curve in charging. And we can see that most likely, like the original SR Pluses that went out, Tesla's probably still monitoring the charging abilities and speeds, and they are certainly examining it for the well-being of the pack and wanting to make sure that everything is on par. So probably not going to see full charging ability until Tesla's quite sure that the new pack is operating the way that they had wanted it to. So that's something to maybe temper your expectations as you start to see in these initial reports start coming in of people indicating how long it takes to supercharge.
There's two other things that would play into that as well. One is they're not going to want a run on the Texas cars, and two, Giga Berlin is apparently, allegedly, getting the capacity to install structural packs now. So maybe at that point, after they use the real-world fleet data from these guys and turn on Giga Berlin, then we might see what they're truly capable of.
Yeah, this is of course all speculation, but you're right. I would not be surprised if a year from now, 18 months from now, after Tesla's been able to collect quite a bit of data on charging curves and other things, that we might see both a higher peak charge rate possible with these 4680 batteries, and maybe even a range boost for these cars that are being shipped now. Both of those, Tesla's done things like that in the past. It's certainly possible now, and it makes sense to come out with his everything set conservatively as it first rolls out.
Yeah, I mean, Tesla's been sandbagging since the Model S. I mean, the Model S 40.
Right.
Well,
yeah, they found that if you take things away from people, they get pretty upset. But if you give them more than they expected, they're fine with that. So it's better to err on that side.
Yeah, the Supercharger network.
Everyone's happy except for the competition.
There is that part. The next question I have is, how are they getting around this whole anti-dealer law in Texas?
Yeah.
Are they just willing to take it on the chin when they get sued?
Have not heard anything about someone actually being delivered in Texas and if they had to go through extra hoops, or did Tesla just do that before the delivery? So the customer really had no clue that the vehicle left, came back, and was stamped in that way, or are they just circumnavigating the law and just
breaking the law?
Sue us.
Personally.
Or I wonder, I mean, maybe the car doesn't physically have to leave. Maybe just some of the paperwork has to be done in another state.
It could be that.
And they have the, whatever server processing that happens in another state. And then
or the customer has to be shipped out of state and brought back.
Right.
Yeah.
A free trip to an Oklahoma casino and back.
Yeah. On a personal level, I do want to see them breaking the law so they can have standing to challenge it in court. As an investor, I don't want that. But I mean, they're not really standing on anything here. They're violating, other than now that Tesla stupidly became a Texas company, they're violating interstate trade law. Other than that one little key detail. Yeah.
I don't think they're probably throwing caution to the wind here. I think there's some sort of plan. It's just that we're not aware of it.
Right.
And the other thing is with these SRs, I would love to know the number of batteries that are used in it, how many cylindrical cells the 4680s make up in the SR pack. Yeah. How much does it take up? But we can't, of course, know that until maybe Sandy Munro gets his hand on one.
Hope he
I
does.
thought
because
that
no
number
one.
came out. I thought that I saw
Yeah,
that
somebody
reported.
said there was 800 and some cells.
Yeah, Huggy Day says
But
828.
I'm not sure of the validity of the source, so I'm not sure if that is correct or not. So
Wow. So think about that. The original Tesla had over 7,000. Right? Not or the Model S, and so now they're down to less than 1,000. That's impressive.
no, it would be even less than that, right? Because it's the 2170 to the 4680. Wasn't it a four-time update? Like, isn't it basically 4 times the volume?
Sounds right.
Yeah, I don't remember all the battery day numbers off the top of my head, but yeah.
So it's certainly something that we'd like to see confirmation of, and we'd like to know, has that structural pack, does it have extra room in it? Because if it does, that means, of course, they'll be able to bump it up even higher with a few more cells to fill in a void, to get it, to the range that the current 2170 has in the long range. We'll have to see if those kind of things, but we really won't know that until someone breaks open a pack, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. So, but it is interesting.
Satellite office.
That they've started now to move them outside of the state of Texas. And apparently you do have to have a reservation already in play. And what Tesla's doing is they're basically emailing individuals and letting them know you do have the opportunity to move into an SR if you would like a more speedy delivery. So there is, that's typically how you're getting it. You're not able to sign up for it on the website as of yet. But we will see as time goes on if they start to make that change, because I gotta believe that production speeds are starting to ramp up in Texas. I gotta believe they're starting to get the hang of things, and that they'll start to push out more and more vehicles. So they're going to have to open those floodgates at some point. I just don't know how soon that will be.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm curious if they have the
Next.
Berlin style paint plant at Austin.
Right. Right. Next, I want to talk about this budget reconciliation bill. And I really want to lean heavily on Casey and Patrick, since this is their country. I don't really know anything about this beyond what I've seen on a few videos and some banter on Twitter. But what I understand is that, of course, the Biden administration tried to pass a Build It Back Better bill previously that got cut down and had to be broken up in pieces in order to get some of it passed. And I understand that is it Joe Manchin out of West Virginia was the one that basically was holding it up. He's a Democrat that was not going to vote for the second part of the bill because there were things in it that he did not like, and had been holding back that. But from what I understand, he's given signs that he's willing to move into a compromise position and sign this, while the Democrats still have, I guess, the seats or the votes that they could actually pass this bill. So what's happening with this, guys? I'd like to hear your opinion on this.
This is one I missed.
I'm no fan of Manchin.
Is anybody on any side?
Yeah, he's a horrible person in my opinion, but that's just my opinion.
He sometimes does what you want him to do, no matter who you are.
So this new version has concessions in there specifically for him, and it's carbon sequestration for coal plants, which I think is just a huge boondoggle and a waste of taxpayer money. But politics is the art of compromise. So if that's what it takes to get the other things in there that we desperately need, I guess that's the way that the sausage is made.
Yeah. I wish they'd get back to compromising on stuff. I mean, as long as everybody's upset, then hey, we did something. But if one side is just running away with everything, then we've done messed it up.
Right. So we've put a link in the notes today that if you would like to see a video on this made by the Now You Know guys, they did a pretty good breakdown, allowed me to understand parts of this, and I'm not even involved. So I think it's a kind of a good overview for you to take a look at, and then they've got an action plan if you want to support it and let the senators know that you want it to move ahead or not. So I would suggest any American that has an idea as to what they want the Build Back Better plan to be, to start letting their senators know, because I guess it is coming down to the wire, because there is going to be a midterm vote at some point that can change up the seats, and that may change up the votes. So hopefully we can get some of this green plan passed. I certainly love to hear about the wind and solar, the offshore wind, especially for the East Coast. Yeah. It certainly sounds like something that the U.S. should get involved with in order to collect some of that green energy that is abundant on that East Coast, and certainly would help the power grid.
I'll tell you this: air pollution does not respect political boundaries.
That's very true. Yeah. Or socioeconomic boundaries, or
them either. Well, yeah. it does lean heavily on where you dump it, but it does still spread too.
Right. Yes. Yeah. There's one atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Well, speaking about the Model Y again, we've got an update that Tesla is now beginning to take orders in Australia, New Zealand, and Japan, as well as a couple other Asian Pacific countries. And here's something that's no surprise. There was a huge uptake from those countries.
Right.
And in fact, they've got overwhelmed rather quickly. I believe Australia got a bump already just the same day as to delivery times, because they basically sold out 2022 for the Model Y immediately. Nice. So Elon had put a post in Twitter indicating that they weren't expecting that much of a demand, and they're going to work harder to get more vehicles to Australia and the others that have ordered it. So they're hoping to push down those numbers, those delivery days for those people to get those cars, because obviously there is pent-up demand, as there has been across the entire Tesla market. So I'm just not a big surprise when they release it to a new country that's never had it before, that you're going to have a run on them immediately.
Who would have ever thought that that you release your most popular product ever to new markets, that it would sell out? I mean, who could have ever predicted this, Mr. It's going to be our best-selling car. We're going to make Model Y over everything because it's going to be our best-selling car. I didn't expect we would sell so many.
I didn't expect Elon to sell a lot of them. Yeah, what's up with that?
It's glad I'm glad that Evan's watching here today, because however many years ago it was when they did that reveal event, when they kind of downplayed it.
They did.
And we were all saying, why are they doing this? This is going to be their most successful vehicle ever. And
down in the corner of the stage in the shadows.
Right. Yeah. They unlike a lot of their others where they really hyped them up and showed them off, the Model Y reveal was just not as exciting.
It was the ugly stepchild, wasn't it?
And after a 15-minute recap of the history that we'd already had 4 times that year.
Yeah. They were anti-selling it, and
yes.
And even with that, it's still we totally predicted it that it was going to be their most successful, and it
certainly is, and it just continues to set records, and as they release in these new countries, we see that it's no different. It's going to continue to set these goals. So not a real huge surprise there, but it seems to be a surprise to Elon. So like you said, I don't think that's genuine, just based on what he said in the past about it. I don't think that it's a surprise to anybody, really.
Maybe just like they expected it to be like 100,000 sales and it was 1 million sales. I mean, that would scare the crap out of me. If I was like, oh, how are we going to fill these?
You have big projections and you get even more than that. It can be both. Yeah, they could have expected a lot and still got even more.
So I'm gonna-
the gas price, the petrol price, did rise quite a bit from when they made those initial projections, and a lot of folks had some surprise income, and you might have run into more people than the model suggested.
Yeah. Gas prices sure do make people think about buying an electric vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. There's
Especially
never
when-
been such a strong interest in EVs. Once gas prices basically went up, by 40, 50, 60, now almost 100%.
Yeah, I was looking at the
So-
prices that that Anders shared this weekend, and oh my goodness.
Exactly. So let's just take a look at this video
All right.
that was shared by Jay in Shanghai.
What are we
Get a
looking
load
at
of
here?
this. So it looks like a
that
tree fell on something. And what is it?
Model 3.
Oh, it's a Model 3.
That is not
Wow.
a tiny tree.
It's a lowrider now. That's a huge tree.
Yeah.
That is a crushed vehicle.
Well, I wouldn't say
That-
crushed.
But
Yeah,
notice the roof line.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it looks like it hasn't
held
even
up.
dented the A pillars or B
Right.
pillars.
I mean, it's clearly had a better day, but
Yeah.
it doesn't look like it failed to do its job there.
There's an understatement. It's seen better days, absolutely. But it's again testament to Tesla's safety record that
Mhm.
this vehicle is built to withstand impacts, and that certainly was an extreme circumstance where that looked like a quite old tree fell completely on the car and didn't even appear to crush the roof. Obviously,
Yeah,
the
it
glass
didn't
is
intrude
probably
into the
broken on the
cabin
roof.
space. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
What do you
awesome.
mean
the
you
cabin
didn't buy
didn't
this car
indent
for-
at all.
What do you mean you didn't buy this car for environmental reasons? I'll show you.
There's Tesla supporting trees. Well, support.
Oh man! So
The tree
yeah,
heard
and
safety
there
or
was,
cool car first and got mad.
and we did have a link also in our Twitter feed. If you don't know what that is, that's at the Tesla Life. You can join the Twitter feed and follow us throughout the week. There was another car that this one zoomed into the trees, into the forest, went up on its side, and again, driver only walked away with minor injuries. So
That was an interesting one as well.
yeah, I have no idea how you get a car up on its side partway into a forest without trying.
Medical
That,
emergency.
That is definitely some sort of maneuver.
Yeah, he had
to
a
do
medical
that.
emergency and planted the lightning pedal and
Oh,
And launched it.
yep, came out with a hefty bill, a hospital bill, a new car bill. Had to buy a new dishwasher because there was a dishwasher in the back.
Yeah,
of the
they were
Model 3 for whatever
transporting a
reason.
dishwasher too. So
what? Whoa!
yeah,
I
Yes.
have not heard this story.
Did you get the picture?
let's see if I can find it. I know.
So I'm piecing together here. There's a war going on between Teslas and trees.
Well, the cardboard forest reached out to its cousins and
Right. Yes, this has been many chapters in this war.
There we go.
yeah. So if you zoom in, you can see the dishwasher box right there in the
There
rear
it
seat.
is. Yeah,
And
right on the
yeah.
white seats. That is an incredible crash.
yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. So the war on trees continue.
The trees are winning.
Yeah, they won those 2 rounds, that's for sure.
Yeah, against the
Exactly.
car, but at least the drivers.
The occupants
Yes.
were fine. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great to hear.
exactly. So we've talked about
You know what it
this,
is? The trees have Tesla stock, and they're trying to sell more cars.
yeah, that's what it is. We've talked about this previously, and Elon, of course, has prompted us again that they're looking to help improve service.
Yeah, that's what Patrick
Tesla
led in with.
sites. So they're looking to get this 2/3 of service to be performed on the
Yeah.
same day
There you go.
that is reported or booked in, and and they have outlined that they are looking to streamline the service experience by dedicating certain bays to certain procedures in larger service markets, so that they can have an easier stream of vehicles that are going to one particular bay, maybe for infotainment problems, or another bay particularly for shock issues. So in larger service situations where they've got larger bays, more people, they're trying to streamline the work that's being done to certain types of work that if you're doing the same type of work over and over again, technically you get faster, you get more efficient at it, and they're thinking that that might be a way to help the service experience instead of pushing these jobs to different people all the time. If you've got some experts that can help, then that might be a way to speed things up. So
didn't they already do this? Because when I had my 2016 in for its first service, after driving the 4 hours to the service center, because mobile service was $100 plus per mile at the time.
Whoa.
Yeah. So they pulled my car in, and it was one of the things they did was the 2-year service, and as soon as they pulled it into the bay, a clock above it started, and I asked them, "What's that?" And they said, "If he's not done in time, then he's clearly not knowing how to do his 2-year services," because all they had for sale at the time was Model S. So
right. Well, it is a time game, is what they're saying. What I'm thankful for is that when they realized that service has to be performed, we didn't get the same notation that we've gotten previously, that the best service is no service.
yes,
I'm glad that they've dropped that because servicing is going to become a larger concern the days we move forward. The further we go into the future, there's just going to be more and more cars on the road, more and more Teslas out there, and service is going to become a thing. So let's get prepared for it. Let's start ramping up and knowing that as these cars start to come out of warranty, that there are going to be some service items that are going to be required on all these cars. Now, I'm not saying they're going to have as much service as a nice car, but I am saying that some service is going to be required, and there's no way you can get around it. There are going to be service issues that are going to be addressed on these Tesla vehicles.
Yeah, and I know this isn't the Ford Live, but this weekend, this last week, Jim Farley was pointing out all the ways that he's going to copy Tesla, and he pointed out that that going EV, they would have a lot less service revenue for the very reasons that you pointed out. But also, as you point out, you want whatever service does need to be done to be a good experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my car's out of warranty. It's 5.5, almost 6 years old, and I've had it in twice this year already. So they're getting money from service for me.
Yes.
As I said at the beginning of the show, I literally just got back, drove in, came up, parked, and got on the show. Just from picking up my vehicle from service. I dropped it off last night at 4:30, and I said something like, I assume I won't get an estimate until tomorrow morning when you guys start working on it. And they said, no, they have technicians working until 1 a.m. And so I would get an estimate that night, and that they would get started on it, and I would be able to pick it up the next day. And that's the way it worked out. So yeah, that's they've already got people working till 1 a.m. So
my local center,
that indicates demand, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah,
my local
definitely.
center, the last shift ends at 11 at night, so 2300.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. The city is closed then, so the commute is like you're home in 10 minutes, no matter where you live.
That's nice. Yeah, definitely.
Next, Casey's got a story for us about superchargers. Does Casey know which one I'm pointing to?
Yes. So this one, they are now at the 35,000th Supercharger Site, and that is a significant milestone. I believe this was in China. This is in Dongzhou Tesla Center in Wuhan. Yes. So we talked a little bit about that this weekend, and
over 35,000 stalls now worldwide.
Considering that in 2012 there were 0 stalls.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder how that compares to other fast charge. Like, if you added up, I don't know, EV Go and Electrify
Probably
America,
what
and
percentage they are of the world?
yeah, I mean,
Question.
do the others even do all the others combined even add up to this much?
No, they don't. No, no, they are getting significant, and all of them together are certainly a larger number than any of them separately. But they're getting to the point where they're going to catch up. There can be that point coming, but as we know, the problem with these other charger groups is, first of all, they're separate and controlled by separate entities, and the other big thing is uptime. How
Yes,
often we had
reliability.
that report just a few weeks ago
Hmm.
about that almost half the charging sessions ended up in a phone call to the support center.
Yep.
So
Right.
that does
That's
not
significant.
happen at Tesla chargers. Like,
Right.
it does not happen at all close to that number. Not even remotely close.
Unless they've
On
been
all my
vandalized.
travels, my
Yeah.
travels, I've never had to phone Tesla about a charging issue.
Right. Unless there's bad firmware, which happens very rarely, vandalism, which happens more frequently, or something wrong with the site, like somebody ran into the transformer or something, or just the region's power is out. Except in those rare cases, you'll only see 1 to 8 chargers out, depending on how large the station is, and if it's a V2 or V3 station.
Well, there
Yeah,
was
the
that
others are
time.
finally coming along.
Go ahead,
The-
Patrick.
Plug and charge was a big step forward.
Yes.
So that is now a standardized protocol. That's part of it. If you're in their network, you plug in. It does all the identification of your vehicle and account and authorizes that, and it just works. So that's one small step. And now we have to deal with all the other things. If EVs are going to be the way that most people have their own personal transportation, these problems have to be solved. It has to be easy, easier than a gas station.
Yeah. VinFast is giving away either a free charger or free charging for life. We'll see how long that lasts. I would take the free charger if I were
But
you.
you got to pay monthly for the battery.
That too. You do got to pay monthly for that battery.
You got to pay monthly for the battery. There's no free ride. So that's going to be interesting business model. See if that flies in North America. But that's
It
something
hasn't worked yet.
That's
Worldwide.
something that only they have introduced here in North America. So
That's true. They're the first ones to do it here. Yeah.
First to try it. So,
but elsewhere in the world, it's never worked for long.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think I've heard of it working in another major EV brand. So
right, better Place went out of business. I don't know that Renault still does it, but they tried it.
Mm-hmm.
We will see.
Yeah.
We will see. Get this. This story was kind of interesting. That
this one.
City in China at the start of the day started to block Teslas from entering the city from outside areas. And they were blocked, get this, because of Chinese leader Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping?
Apparently, he or his administration or both believe that Tesla are foreign spy cars. They have an issue with Tesla, of course, recording on their 8 cameras. And they believe that some of that information can get to entities in the United States that would want to view the travels of the leader of China. So they, in response, have blocked Teslas from entering the city that he was visiting for the day. So,
but they didn't block this video of them blocking the Teslas.
Right.
Well, you got to start somewhere, Patrick.
They also made the critical mistake of allowing them to install a supercharger across the street from the palace.
Well, you can't get it all the first go round, I guess. But this is interesting that Tesla's always said that the camera recording that happens for Chinese cars stays in China. It's separate servers. It doesn't come to America. It doesn't connect to anybody else. But of course, again, China being a
You see what it
A
is?
country
It's
that
called,
is
it's called projection, because this is what they would do. They would say that they don't do it, and then they would do it anyway. So they
Right.
assume that everybody else is doing
everybody
what they would
does it, regardless of what they say.
do.
So this is kind of interesting. I didn't think this would be taken in this way, but it's there are other groups that don't want a Tesla on a military base, even in the U.S. They don't want them in certain areas, restricted areas, because they don't want the car to pick up anything. They don't want to be available to be hacked because it's picked up some data on the cameras. They'd rather it just not be there at all in the first place. And this is kind of what's going on here in China, just on a bigger scale.
Yeah, so Tesla's just the tip of the spear here, though, because a lot more cars are becoming connected. A lot of other cars are getting cameras. This is the way the future is going to be. I don't know. There used to be a lot of places when cell phones first came around that said no cameras, no smartphone cameras, and now all those signs are gone unless it's really a military base or a secure place.
There were a lot of
there were spots that had that that didn't need it. It was
like
just
public
initial
places.
paranoia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, you don't want me to go in 7-Eleven because I have a camera in my pocket? This is
While you're watching me with a camera on the wall.
remember the blow up about Google Glasses and people losing their minds over that?
Right.
That one scared the crap out of people because he had this camera that's like always aimed where the person's looking, basically, and
right.
It's a little unsettling. I understand, but the reaction was blown out of proportion.
If you're wearing him in the locker room or something, okay, now you're perving out. But
essentially perving out. Yeah.
Just, if you're on the street, that's a public space.
Exactly.
Everybody should assume that there are cameras pointed at them for one reason or another, anyway.
Yeah. Next, Patrick's got a story about the Tesla stock. What is going on with the stock?
I do. So Tesla has now announced that it's going to have a 3-for-1 stock split. So the split itself, we talked about it on the show several weeks ago, but we were speculating, is it going to be 20-for-1 like Google and Apple are doing? Is it going to be 5-for-1 like Tesla did last time? And now we have the answer. It's a 3-for-1 stock split. So as these are always done, it's being issued as a dividend. For every stock that you have, you will receive a dividend of 2 more. So for every one you have now, you'll have 3 after this. And if you think that just made you, triple the amount of money in Tesla, that's not how the math works. This is kind of just like making change. So the value of each one will be 1/3 of what it was before. And I talked about how I have a 1 share hanging up on the wall. Well, it was 1 share, and then it became 5 shares, and now it's going to be 15 shares.
Yes.
This one.
You better reinforce that hook because it got a lot heavier.
That's right. Yes. And also in this article, they commented how Larry Ellison has decided not to stand for re-election on Tesla's board. He'll be stepping down. And they don't say why. And some people, who knows why? He's got his own reasons. If I were that rich, even being on a board, only if you're meeting quarterly, you still have fiduciary responsibilities and other things. And I wouldn't be doing it.
You got to leave your private island and everything.
Right.
Exactly. Yes. I have to leave my private island again. No, I'm done. He is a major shareholder. So is he going to sell his shares as part of this? That's the real question. I don't care whether he's on the board or not. Is he going to be selling his shares? And I hope not, just because I would like to see the stock go up.
Well, that'd be one less bit of controversy because he's not a very popular guy in some circles.
Yeah, well, you can say that about several people on the board. Go ahead.
You can say that about a bunch of people at Tesla, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Next story we're going to take a look at is, of course, StarLink. We talked about this previously about Hawaiian Airlines becoming the first major airline to get StarLink on flights across the Pacific. Well, we've now got another vehicle that's going to be taking StarLink across the Pacific and the Caribbean and other places. And that, of course, is the cruise line Royal Caribbean. They have announced that they're going to start to put StarLink on their ships, their cruise liners. And actually, we got a photo right away of some installation that was going on. So we can share that
Oh,
right here.
do they have to pay
Boom.
the extra RV fee?
Yeah,
They had to
mobile
pay. They had to pay multiple
mobile
business
service.
account fees.
Oh, yeah.
So here it shows them installed on the deck. 2, 4, 5. It looks like down the one side.
Are they the business units or the regular ones? They look a little bit wider.
It looks. Well, they're the new style, right? That's a little
Yeah,
bit
the
more
rectangular ones.
Right, but the business
Um,
one is rectangular as well. It's just fatter than the home one.
Can't tell about if these are bigger than the regular ones or not.
There's no banana for scale. It's hard to
Exactly.
So yeah, so they're now going to be put on these particular ships and tested out. If you take a cruise, let us know if you happen to see some StarLinks attached to the outer decks, and let us know how the service is, what you thought of its speed. Maybe do a couple speed tests while you're on your cruise. While you're lounging by the pool, you can pick up some signal and try it out.
Yeah. I had a mixed take on this one. Like, one, it's good for the customer because Starlink is better than geostationary internet because they don't have cell service out there. So it's not like they can have very many choices to choose from. And it's good money for Starlink to complete their mission. But at the same time, cruise ships are ecological disasters.
Well, they certainly burn fuel, and that's absolutely true. Hopefully, they're following regulations when they come to port. They plug in so that the motors are not required in order to keep the amenities running while they're at port. But Casey, you're absolutely correct. Until we get to a point where they're either hybrids or they are starting to use more and more batteries and can be self-sufficient themselves and with some sales, then they're going to be a bit of an ecological disaster for the foreseeable future.
What would we call that, Patrick?
Until we get to a future that's free from fossil fuels.
Fossil fuels. Got it.
I did just see a story about an electric tugboat.
Yes.
Yeah. Saw that too. Yeah. So here's an interesting story. This is someone that has caught on to what Tesla has been doing with its superchargers. There's a company called Stack Charging or Charger that has decided that they're going to build out some of the infrastructure for a third-party charger that is similar to what Tesla does. And I think this is a great idea because Tesla has already shown the way of what makes sense and what systems work. And this particular company is just kind of following in what they see being effective for Tesla. So we've got this photo that we're going to share here. Boom, here we go. And this artist rendering is for a location that they are getting built in Baker, California. So Baker, of course, is in the popular route between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. And they're looking to put this up. It looks like got a whole bank of solar panels with chargers underneath. And it looks like they're going to be building a little hospitality center with a seating area and some place to get out of the hot sun, either underneath those panels or within the air-conditioned building, which most likely will be some sort of offer some refreshments.
So that's good.
Very cool.
It's proven to work.
Yeah, so this reminded me of the stuff that the Portland Airport did. It's not quite as cool as that, but way back in the day, 2012, a decade ago, we were having an electric car event, and I was going to the airport to pick up Paul Scott, the famous Paul Scott founder, one of the founders of Plug in America. He's in the Who Killed the Electric Car documentary. Really cool guy, and he was coming to speak at our event. And so I'm, of course, not going to go in a gas car to pick him up. I went in my Nissan Leaf. And there was no place to charge up there except at the IKEA that's near the airport. So I went early, plugged in at the IKEA, walked around there for a while, and then went and got him and when he landed and took him to the event. But with at airports nowadays, they don't want people pulling into the pickup area and waiting. They ask you to keep going, and so instead of just driving around in circles, they have set up a cell phone waiting area. And at first, that was just a gravel lot, but now they've put in amenities, and it's got a coffee place called Dutch Brothers. If you're local, you know that one. It's got fast food. It's got a 7-Eleven, and they also have an EVgo charging station there. So now you can go there and charge up while you're waiting. And so having things like this in convenient spots that allow you to do other things and charge, that's the way it needs to be. Casey, what's cracking you up? I missed it.
Hockey Day posted an Elon joke. Elon did the "let that sink in" joke.
They will have no choice but to let me in.
For those of you on the podcast, Elon's quoted, "I'm dressing as a sink on Halloween, as they'll have no choice but to let me in." Elon. When you knock on the door, somebody will say, "Let that sink in."
Dad
jokes.
So that's kind of interesting, Patrick. I know that our airport here in the GTA, they're doing the same thing. So charging has appeared in the cell phone parking lot. We don't have places to buy things yet for a drink or whatever, but what a perfect location to put in a quick convenience store or a fast food outlet, because more often than not, people are just waiting and would like a bite to eat or a drink, and it just makes a lot of sense.
I was looking at what has expanded in that area, and there's I mentioned the IKEA, there's the cell phone spot, but there's also a Buffalo Wild Wings that has charging, and there's a Tesla destination charger at a airport hotel. So there's lots more options than there was a decade ago.
we just have pavement, but no gravel.
No gravel. You've moved the pavement. Okay.
Yes.
You still got a ways to go, Casey.
Place to charge, place to eat, places to buy stuff. I'd like that.
Yeah.
Next story.
You can't get behind security now because the sneaker bomber and all them people. So move that stuff to where everybody can access it.
Yeah, because that's what it was before there was an issue with 9/11, right? Is that they were making airports basically malls.
Yeah.
Anyone could go into the airport and shop at the centers that they had within. But of course, now everything's on the outside of security. So there's a lot less room to put this stuff in. And of course, they don't get the foot traffic anymore. Right. But waiting area is, waiting for flights to come in is certainly one of those areas where you could have some of that ability back.
And they're captive because they had to show up a half hour before the plane lands.
Exactly, they're captive.
And they had to wait for it to deboard and be delayed.
And then find out it's delayed. Yeah,
yes.
That's all that stuff. Absolutely.
We all know that dance.
Next, this is kind of interesting. At an employee rally that Elon was at, where he was indicating to the group of employees where Tesla's going, what they're doing. One employee asked Elon, where will the next Gigafactory be built in the United States? And Elon took that in, and he indicated that it may not be in the United States. He may put one in either Canada, Mexico, or the United States. He's opening up the market in North America. Obviously, Tesla's looking for some sort of East Coast area they've talked about previously. This is kind of a surprise that he threw Mexico and Canada into the mix as possibilities for the next Gigafactory. Now, he quickly said, this year, we're just concerned with building up quantity volume. That's all we're interested in. So that is, he's not talking about building a Gigafactory or announcing one tomorrow, but it is kind of interesting that he is looking at some options now, and some of those options lie outside of the United States in the other two countries that are part of North America. So I am really pushing that we would love one in Ontario on the East Coast, I'll mention. So we got some great border points, lots of room, but we will see. Is Ontario in the mix or not? I'm not sure, but it is interesting to see that maybe he's ramping up the ability for people to get involved in the race. Maybe that's all this is, because of course Tesla loves the competition. Ask Tulsa. They definitely like a competition, and I would say to my premier and my prime minister, let's get involved early. Let's not let this slip through our fingers. Let's start helping out and seeing if we can make this happen. That would be great.
Yeah, so there are a couple good things going for Canada. The ability to get around some of the tariffs and other fees they like to put on Teslas because they're luxury, mainly because they're freaking expensive. And then you have the customers right there, in addition to a skilled labor force. But then on the flip side of that, you have a lot of inexpensive labor available immediately in most any places they could throw a dart in Mexico. So.
Yeah. So,
solar roof. Good point. Mexico would be better for solar roof. Because you guys have sun down there.
It's like we don't have sun in Canada. Come on.
But Hockey Day points out that Quebec has cheap hydro.
Quebec has a completely renewable grid.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of hydro available to them, a lot of water that powers the electricity in Quebec. In fact, I believe it's the cheapest electricity rate in all of North America based on the amount of renewables that Quebec has available to them through the multiple dams, hydroelectric plants that they have through the province.
Yeah, and then Hockey Day also points out that because of the availability to get that power where it needs to go, you guys lost the LG plant.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got to build the plant in a certain area. There's a lot of things to weigh. Logistics, getting stuff into that plant for the raw materials, and of course being able to ship time-wise to all the different places that those vehicles are going to be sold in. So it's a delicate balance that you have to weigh.
We also have pointed out that you guys have a lot of the minerals. You've got both the nickel and the lithium.
Yep. That would be Northern Ontario has a lot of nickel. So and actually a few deals have already been signed by Tesla based on that.
Yeah.
So.
You don't have to worry about transmission if it doesn't have to go but across the street.
Exactly. Well, with that, I think we've wrapped it up. I think we'll call it a night. Casey, what do you got going on in your channel to let the people know about?
So I once again have not figured out how to
to be super dead and have all these other things pulling at you.
Right. So I've managed to get the live shows keep the live shows going despite all the challenges we had, particularly last week with members of being in the hospital and maybe giving us a maximum of 2 hours of sleep. But there are quite a few videos I've got on deck that I need to just sit down and edit. But then on Sundays at 1:10 p.m. Eastern, you can join us for a chat about whatever's going on in the world of EVs. And we do, I drive a Tesla, so we touch on Tesla a lot. But it's just a little more around the whole industry at that point. So if you're interested in that, just come on over to youtube.com/Casey Green. That's KACEYGREEN.
Very good. Patrick, I have a question for you. You've got the OEVA shirt on.
Yeah.
Your meeting happened last week, your monthly meeting there. Did you find out if it's a hybrid meeting? Do you guys actually put it on the internet, or is it strictly in person now?
It was strictly in person this time. Yeah. Okay. And I don't know. There's still a pandemic going on, people. So I'm not going to these in-person events. A friend of mine just said, "Hey, do you want to go to this really cool concert?" And I'm like, "No." in a 10 years ago, that would have been great. In the before times, I would say like, "Yes, I totally want to do that." But yeah, I'm fully vaccinated and all, but I'm still just there's no reason to go. Yeah,
long COVID's no joke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
they did just approve shots for children under 5. I'm waiting for this one to turn 6 months old so I can go get her shot up, and then we'll be more comfortable taking her places.
Yeah, I could see if you're a parent of a young child, I'm stressed, and if I had a young child, that'd be even worse. So,
Right.
I mean, I'm not like to the point where I won't leave my house, but I'm
Right.
also not going to fun events or meetups or whatever. There's
Right, but
you
you're
know,
not afraid of
stuff
the
I have
grocery
to do.
store. Like,
Yeah,
we're like,
exactly.
we
Yeah,
go to the
yeah.
grocery store, not with her. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Home delivery is
Also,
a great
Patrick,
thing.
have you just let people know about your blog?
Oh, yes.
Right. So here it is right there, carswithgorge.net. And that whole story about how my coolant heat pump or coolant heater went out. I wrote that in real time as it was happening back in January or in February, March. But I waited. I didn't want to publish it right away, so I just put the finishing details on that. I want to be able to look back with some perspective and not just mad because something broke. I don't want to be a whiny child about it. So so that's going to be publishing very soon. You can hear that whole saga of a ski trip gone wrong and how we still made it back fine, and the whole saga.
So the problem was that
Very
your
good.
coolant was too cool.
That's right. Yes.
Did I do it
needed a
right?
heater. Yep.
We're new to this dad joke thing.
Too cool for school. Yep.
Cool. Exactly. I wanted to ask you, the viewer, if you haven't already, please give us that thumbs up. Press that subscribe button if you haven't already. That helps us out. Doesn't cost you a dime, and you support the show. Also, you can follow us through the week at the Tesla Life on Twitter and the Tesla Life #1 on Facebook. We want to thank Patrick for his help in curating the Facebook, and we want to thank Casey for his help in putting on these live shows. So thank you both. Really appreciate it. And with that, come back next week, next Wednesday, and together we will find out what's happening in the Tesla Life. So, I'm interested to see why Berlin has done this.
Stay positive. Test negative.
I'm sorry. I thought that was Lee Moon's music. It was a previous Tesla Live show. Like, why am I hearing?
Yeah, I was going. That doesn't sound like Lee Moon's music. Thanks, Lee Moon, by the way.
for not for that comment though, but for the music.
for the actual music, yes.
Actually, I wonder if I could stop it and start it again. If that would. No, that didn't do it. I was saying if I stop and start it.
I guess we're not going to have Lee Moon's music this week, but we'll have it next week.
At the end, yeah, we had it at the beginning though. So we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Good night, everyone.